Alright, so John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'll be comparing the NAMA J2 and the Hurom H400. This is the most requested video I have gotten in the last, 6 months. So I'm finally making this video now. And if you guys don't know who I am, my name is John Kohler, and I have been selling juicers in the United States for the last 25 years on my website, DiscountJuicers.com. I've been making YouTube videos for the last 15 years. I'm self-declared the #1 world's juicer expert, but more importantly, I am the #1 trusted reviewer by people around the world for comparing juicer videos. I never take any money to make a video. That being said, I was able to get the NAMA J2 for free to make this video, but of course on the Hurom H400 I actually had to pay for it out of my own pocket to so I could make this video to bring it to you guys, because I know people around the world have always been asking me, John, should I get the H400 because it's easy to buy near me, and the NAMA J2 not so easy to get. That being said, what I will show you guys is that NAMA has worldwide distribution over 200 countries from their USA website at namaweld.com. They recently drastically reduced the shipping prices through DHL, and the price that you pay on their website includes all your duties and taxes. And if it's not paid, NAMA will pay it for you guys. So they really made it more affordable so you guys can get the best-selling juicer in the United States, which is the NAMA J2. In this video, we're gonna find out the pros and the cons of each of these machines. But before we do, I wanna give you guys a special announcement. I wanna share with you guys a special 10% off coupon code you guys could use on any of the different NAMA juicers. Whether you wanna buy the NAMA J2 that I'm reviewing in this video today, you wanna save 10% off on the original NAMA J1, which was not my favorite, or save 10% off and get the greatest savings on the NAMA C2 juicer, you guys could use a coupon code LESSPULP. We'll throw it up right there, LESSPULP, because the NAMA J2 makes less pulp than other comparable juicers on the market based on my testing. Now, when you guys use a coupon code LESSPULP, not only will you guys save 10%, but NAMA will also share with me a small commission so I can continue to make my educational videos for you guys to share with you guys the truth about juicers. So I want to thank you guys in advance who use my coupon code instead of others so that I can continue my mission, my work, to compare the machines, get out the best information you guys, and also, more importantly, drop my juicing knowledge bombs where I do all my educational videos where I really teach you guys the pros and cons, the ins and outs of juicing, because I have been juicing now for the last 28 years and selling juicers online for the last 25. So let's get into this comparison. The first thing is I want to show you guys actually some of the printing on the box so that you guys could be aware and informed of some of the safety features of these two machines. So this is the Hurom H400 box. And on the label right here, it says, the model number, H400. It's BPA-free, and it's made in Korea. Also, it says no international warranty. So it's very important, guys, if you guys are buying an H400, buy it in the country that you're using it in with the right voltage. If you buy it in a different country and ship it in to your country, the warranty will be invalid. Now, the other thing that's interesting on this box is right on the front here, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a little warning sign here. It says, warning, this product contains chemicals including diphosphate, which is known in the state of California to cause cancer and or reproductive harm. For more information, go to p65warnings.ca.gov. So the Hurom H400 has a Prop 65 warning sticker on it, although it is BPA free, whereas if we go over to the NAMA J2, there's a little label on here, and it also says BPA free, made in Korea, UL certified, and there is no Prop 65 warning on the box or in the instruction manual. So, if you guys are really concerned about your health, the NAMA J2 might be a better solution due to this. Now, I will say that I do like the new box on the Hurom H400 because it's actually kind of modeling the NAMA box where they kind of make it nice and easy for you guys to see all the different parts that it comes with. You guys can see they got all their boxes labeled pretty nicely. That being said, they're using a lot of the white cardboard and printing on it, whereas I do like the NAMA version a little bit better. You guys can see on the NAMA version, They basically are using more like recycled style brown cardboard without the white coloring. So this is a lot more environmentally friendly. So anyways, let's go ahead and unbox all these machines and show you guys all the different parts and accessories that come with each of the models. So as you guys can see, we got the juicer set up, and as well as the different accessories and parts that come with the machine. So what I will say is that clearly on the Hurom H400, it's a little bit kind of more streamlined, right? You don't get a lot of accessories with it. You get the main juicer, you get one juicer catch cup. On the back, you have actually a built-in pulp catch container. We'll talk about that more. And then you also get a pusher. You also get a cleaning brush, and then you just get a whole host of paperwork and literature, including an instruction manual, including the warranty information card, including the recipe book, including the H400 quick guide, including a hidden tag instructions, so you can actually certify that you're getting a real machine, not an imitation or knockoff, and then also just like the warranty card. Now on the J2, you get a lot more. So with the J2, you not only get the machine itself, you get a much larger catch container, and I'll share how much larger in a little bit. You also get a much larger pulp catch container. You also get the pusher. You also get a coarse hole screen, which NAMA calls a smoothie screen, so you kind of make smoothies in it. I like to say that this makes juices with a lot more pulp in it. You also get a cleaning brush, as well as you get an instruction manual. You also get a recipe book, and you also get a quick start guide. So while these two packages may look similar, they're a fair bit different. I want to kind of dive in to what's the same and what's different with each of these packages. So number one, I want to show you guys this, because this is really interesting. Look at these pushers. These pushers almost look like they came out of the same mold to me, right? This is the Hurom pusher, fits in the NAMA. The NAMA pusher fits in the Hurom. What's up, man? Why are these fitting in each other juicer? Did they knock each other off? Well, no. What I'll tell you guys is that these two juicers are step siblings. So step siblings, what are step siblings? Step siblings is when you have a different parent. So here's the thing. Both these machines are step siblings. That means they're like brother and sisters, but from like a step parent, right? So they both have the same parent. I'll say they were both born in the same factory in South Korea, the Hurom factory, which I visited many years ago. And that's where they're made. They're made with the same exact kind of ingredients and on the same equipment. Okay, so I'll say that. Now the difference is, while they have the same mother and they're born in the same place, they have a different father, right? The father of the Hurom H400 is solely the Hurom company in Korea, whereas the father of the NAMA J2 is NAMAwell, located in the USA. So why do I want to share this with you guys? NAMA does not own Hurom. Hurom does not own NAMA. They are two separate companies. That's very important. That being said, Hurom is NAMA's manufacturing partner on this specific product to make the NAMA J2, because Hurom has been making the best juicers in the world, in my opinion, for like 30 years. They've been making the top performing machines on the market. So I think that NAMA, chose their manufacturing partner really well. Now the one up, in my opinion, that NAMA has over Hurom is that not only does NAMA consult with the Hurom engineers to make their machine better and find out what is possible, but NAMA has their own team of engineers, some of which will formerly work for the Breville company, that will engineer and get the product to be the best quality based on NAMA's ethos, right? And then they'll submit that to Hurom and then kind of go back and forth and get their engineers to kind of agree with it or not. And then they'll make it, Hurom will make it happen for NAMA. Whereas on Hurom's own machine, there's only one head. There's like, the Hurom people. So when you're getting the NAMA, you're getting like two heads are better than one. You're getting two engineering teams that are working together to make the best product for you guys. So that's what I will say on the manufacturing. But once again, these are two different companies, and Hurom Korea is different than Hurom USA that sells the machine in the USA that may be related, but that's a whole different branch and arm, and they have their own customer service, as is Hurom in other areas of the world. That being said, what I will say is NAMA is a solely owned company. So if you buy a NAMA juicer, you're always going to deal with NAMA USA on the warranty on the different parts, if you need to get replacement parts and all this kind of stuff. So I think it makes it a lot easier. Also, I will say that, you know, Hurom is a huge company. It's owned by multi-generational family, you know, and I know one of the people in Hurom, whereas NAMA is like just the owner and his wife, and I would say it's more of a family style business. The other thing about the NAMA is that, you know, to me, they're kind of more friendly, because if you look at their you know, booklets, so these booklets actually kind of look a little bit similar, right? It's kind of interesting. So the NAMA instruction booklet is actually in 3 different languages. It's in English, Spanish, and French, whereas on the Hurom instruction manual, it's in English, German, French, Spanish, Polish, I'm thinking like Italian, and maybe even, I think it's Russian. I can't read the writing on here on what language it is. So there's a lot more languages in the Hurom book. The other thing I want to mention is the recipe booklet. So the recipe booklet, right, if you look at the side view, right, you'd think, oh man, the Hurom recipe booklet, it's like double the size of the NAMA booklet. It must be a better booklet. Now, you wouldn't actually be correct on that, actually, because if we open this up, this booklet is divided into separate different languages: English, German, French, Spanish, Italian, and Polish. So it's in multiple languages, and each section is approximately 25 pages. So you only get 25 pages of recipes with your Hurom H400, whereas NAMA, the recipe booklet, is solely in English, and you get about 70 pages of instruction in the NAMA booklet with 70 different pages of recipes. So you get about 3 times more information in the recipe booklet, despite this being a smaller booklet. It is only in 1 language, whereas that's in multiple languages. Now, the other thing I want to go over real quick is interesting to me. This is the quick start guide. So the quick start guide on the Hurom, actually I kind of like it because it's actually real world pictures of what it looks like, but it's just basically 8.5 by 11 with a whole bunch of the, you know, main information you'll need to get up and running with the juicer. Whereas on the NAMA quick start guide, it's a lot more than 8.5 by 11. It's like double that. So they really kind of go into detail about the machine, all the different parts, and what you really need to know. So that NAMA, I will say, like, holds your hand a little bit better with kind of helping you to get set up, especially if you've never juiced before. And furthermore, you know, they say that they're here to help, and they have their contact information on here. And the other thing that's very interesting is that, you know, unlike Hurom, the NAMA owner, the owner of NAMA, who I have his email, right? But if you buy his NAMA juicer, on this pamphlet, he has his email address, so you can email him directly. If his customer service staff is not helping you out, if you guys want to tell him how the machine has changed your life or how you hate it because it broke on you and the customer service is not taking care of you, which would be quite odd, you can email him directly, and he'll probably even respond to you to make sure you're a happy customer. Because, you know, to me, based on the feedback I've gotten from my customers, is that the NAMA well company has much better customer service than the Hurom USA division. So that's what I'll leave it with that. My experience is solely only within the United States. That being said, if you guys do buy the NAMA juicer and have it shipped anywhere in the world, which they recently reduced their shipping rates, you know, to Europe, it can cost as low as 20 to 30 euros, and maybe even less depending on where you live. You'll be dealing with NAMA USA for the warranty. So next, let's go over the warranty. So on the warranty information pamphlet that comes with the machine, right? And maybe this is globally, I'm not sure what's going on, but on the bottom of this, it says warranty period. Warranty period, 1 year for household use only. So, like, to me, a 1-year warranty on such an expensive machine is not cool. I believe this is actually incorrect. And, you know, I could put some shame on Hurom for actually including incorrect information with their machine, because when you get this pamphlet with the USA version, right, it clearly says on here that your warranty is, the Hurom slow juicer is covered by a 10-year limited warranty on the motor, that's this whole bottom part, and a 2-year limited warranty on the remaining parts. So that would be the whole top set. I'll be honest with you guys, the motors rarely ever fail. The top set and the plastic parts are the parts that will fail, and unfortunately this machine only has a 2-year warranty on the parts. Meanwhile, over on the NAMA J2, this machine has a full 15-year warranty, not only on the bottom motor, but also 15 years on the top parts. So tell me, what does that tell you about what each of the companies think about their products? Do you think Hurom thinks their machine will break in 3 years? Because if it breaks in 3 years, guess what? They're like, sorry guys, it only has a 2-year warranty. You're out of luck. Now, curiously enough, Hurom comes out with a brand new model about every 2 years. So think about that. Your last machine you just bought from Hurom, the warranty just ran out, but they just came out with a new model. I'm sure they'll have a Hurom H400 one of these days soon, in a couple of years. And then you're going to be like, oh, the warranty expired, it broke, so I'm just going to buy a new one, right? And then you're going to have a disposable machine, you know, despite the motor having a full 10-year warranty. Meanwhile, with the NAMA J2, Namawell has confidence that their machine is going to last 15 years because otherwise they wouldn't put a 15-year warranty on the entire machine from the motor to all the parts. So that means, you know, maybe every 2 years you might have to buy replacement parts or maybe even get the new updated Hurom juicer if they don't have or stock parts for their old machines. And in the USA, at Hurom USA, I do know that some of their older machines, they no longer stock parts for, which makes me quite sad. Whereas on the NAMA J2, right, it's guaranteed and has a warranty for 15 years on the motor and parts, which is your assurance that for the next 15 year, guys, when you guys invest in this machine, you'll be able to juice, and NAMA will have parts and service available for you guys to keep you guys up and running. So to me, the warranty length, although it is only 5 years longer on the motor base, because it's 10 years here, the main thing is the parts. 2-year warranty on these parts, guys, and pretty much the same parts made out of the same materials have a full 15-year warranty, which is a 7.5 times longer on the NAMA J2. So for you guys to spend the same amount of money, because these machines are approximately the same amount of money, right? You're gonna get 7.5 times longer warranty with the NAMA J2. So if you guys are like penny pinchers and don't wanna buy another juicer in 3 or 4 years, buy the NAMA J2 because you're guaranteed for the next 15 years that it will have a warranty. I cannot state enough how many times I've seen customers buy a high-end juicer and then, you know, they use it a lot. And the more you use it, the more it's likely to break. Hey, if you're just gonna pull out your juicer once a month and use it, this thing will probably work for the next, 10 years. But if you're using it every day hard, and I use my juicers hard, guys, I haven't been able to break the motor on the J2 yet. And it's rare that I hear of anybody having any problems with the motor on the J2. And as NAMA learns about parts that are commonly breaking, they'll go back to their engineers and have the engineers design stronger and improved parts, and they'll roll that out to the latest production of the NAMA J2. So when you guys buy the NAMA J2, you're gonna get the latest production with the most strengthened parts that's gonna ensure you guys have trouble-free service, because NAMA doesn't want you to call them for warranty service. They're gonna make a durable product that will last the next 15 years. Now, a few other things that are quite curious is that the cleaning brushes on both these machines are basically identical. In my opinion, they come out of the same exact mold, but they're just of a different color. This style brush has been coming with juicers for at least the last 10 years, and I would encourage companies out there to improve the brushes to make cleaning the juicers even easier. A custom designed brush to clean the juicing screen and get in some of the hard to reach areas of the parts instead of just a generic cleaning brush. All right. The next thing I will say is that the Hurom 400 is advertised as an all-in-one juicer. It has one set of parts to do the juicing. They also say you can make sorbets and do nut milks with it. I have not tested that, and I don't know how well it's going to do nut milks with its current design. That being said, the NAMA J2, as it comes set up, can make nut milks or juices with the traditional screen design. And of course, you could also make the thicker juices with the coarse hole screen, or what they call the smoothie attachment. In addition, you guys can buy as an optional upgrade, which I would highly encourage you guys to get, boom, the sorbet and nut butter attachment for the NAMA J2. Now this is an additional $50. I'll post a link down below to my video where I basically use it to make frozen fruit sorbet and nut butter in the J2. It is totally game changing. That being said, I have not attempted to make the frozen fruit sorbet or nut butter in the Hurom H400. That being said, while it will juice and it's been designed for juicing, I'm not exactly quite sure on how well it's going to make and do other functions. So that'll be interesting. So I would say that a machine that has a specific attachment design for sorbet and nut butters will work a lot better than a machine that they're just kind of saying, oh, it'll work for other things too, when it clearly was designed as a juicer, and maybe by luck it does the other things, kind of. All right, so let's get all this cleaned up, and next we're gonna go ahead and disassemble each of the machines part by part so I could show you guys the pros and the cons and the differences between these two specific machines. All right, as you guys can see, both machines are set up and ready to juice, and these are all the essential components you'll need. The first thing I wanna go over is the collection cup size and the footprint of each of the machines. As you guys can see, the J2, you got the main juicer, and then you have a separate collection cup for the juice, and you have a separate collection cup for all the pulp comes out. Meanwhile, the Hurom has streamlined this, and they have the machine, and then they have a separate cup to catch the juice, and like their previous model, the H200, they actually have a built-in pulp catch container. There are pros and cons to the built-in pulp catch container. It kind of makes the footprint of the machine larger than the footprint of the J2 juicer alone, but it's a little bit built in, so maybe you have a little bit more clean look. Now the other thing is, unfortunately, the catch cup on the Hurom H400 and the juice catch cup are significantly smaller than that of the NAMA J2. Let's go ahead and compare each of the different catch cups side by side. So this catch cup is measured up to 600 milliliter. I believe when I filled it all the way to the top and I measured how much liquid was in there, it was like 700 milliliter total, like up to the brim, and then it was actually kind of overflowing, so that's not really the usable space. Whereas on the NAMA J2, all the way up to the brim was 1,250 milliliters total up to the brim, and you know that's not really usable because you're kind of like, if you driggle it, it's gonna spill over. But you have much more usable space. So based on my calculations, this catch container holds 78% more liquid than the Hurom H400 juicer container. So for me, if you guys want to do batch juicing and make large volumes of juice at once, right, this catch container is not adequate. You could fill up the hopper and basically overflow this catch cup because you're going to make more juice than this catch cup can even hold. Because if you fill up this hopper with like watermelon, you're going to make approximately 1,000 milliliters, whereas this catch cup coming out could only catch 700 milliliters. So if you walk away like this machine was designed to do, the catch cup's going to overflow on your countertop, so you better get something else to catch your juice. Now let's kind of go over to the pulp catch bin. So this is where it gets really interesting, guys. These pulp catch bins are quite interesting. So the pulp catch bin on the NAMA J2 is 100% larger and holds twice as much pulp as the catch cup on the Hurom H400. Once again, that means as you're batch juicing, you better come back to the machine to make sure that you're emptying this as it's going, because if you're batch juicing, this will fill up and then the pulp could actually start going back into the machine. Actually, this happened to a very popular YouTube influencer when she was testing the Hurom H200, and since the video is taken down because maybe she had egg on her face. And you know, if you're not paying attention to this, this will overflow and then the pulp will basically kind of go back into the machine. It'll create excessive pulp in your juice and the machine's just not gonna function. I don't wanna have to babysit the juicer. That's why for me, right, the hopper machines are game changing, because you can just put it in there and you could walk away. But with the Hurom H400, you better keep an eye on it because this might overflow, as well as the pulp catch container, which is half as large as the NAMA catch container. Of course, in the NAMA catch container, you could put any container you want underneath here to catch your pulp, but on the Hurom H400, you can't put any container on there. You're gonna have to put this container that fits in specifically. Now, the other thing that I don't like about this container is that when you're done juicing, you need to wash it. So you're gonna hand wash it, and then you're gonna set it on your drain rack to dry, like I did a little bit earlier today, because before I use any juicer that's brand new, I'll go through and wash it. And I set this up on my drain rack to dry. and I set it up like this, and look what happened when I set it up to dry. It fell over. This was not even designed to stand up upside down, because when you wash it, there's water in there, right? And you want to get the drips out. You can't leave it upright because the water's just going to pool in there. So you can't even set this upside down on something without it tipping over. They made the corners too rounded. They should have it more flattened off so that it doesn't just fall over when you set it to dry. Meanwhile, in the NamaCatch container, I can set it upside down so everything will drain out properly. But of course, you're going to have to just set this up again. Even if I try to set it up against something, it still falls over. So, you know, hey, it's cool that this really fits in and is streamlined and makes this look pretty cool, right? But functionality-wise, to me, like, I don't know, I don't really like it. But once again, I bulk juice in large quantities. So if you guys want to only make 700 milliliters of juice, which is approximately 20, maybe 24 ounces, then the Hurom H400 would be great, because it could surely fill this up. It won't overflow. And if you're only making that much juice, this will not overflow either. But then for me, I say that, hey, what's the use of getting a hopper style juicer if you're just making a little bit of juice at a time? You might want to just get a different style juicer anyways. All right, so that's the catch cups, and that was a whole interesting thing. But next I want to do is we're going to go ahead and compare these side by side and see how tall they are. So here in the United States, the kitchen cabinets could be about 18 inches from the countertop, which means that on the Nama J2, because if we measure this machine, right, the height on this is approximately 17.7 inches. So this will fit under standard cabinets in the United States. Whereas if we go ahead and move the J2 over, and you guys can see the Hurom is even taller. The Hurom peaks out at over 18.5 inches. I'll say like 18.6 inches. So it's too tall to fit underneath your kitchen cabinets. Maybe in other countries, kitchen cabinets are this tall, or maybe they'll leave it not underneath the cabinets. Now the other thing is I want to measure the other dimensions of these machines besides the height. So the width of the J2, and we're just going to measure the base width here. It's approximately 6.5 inches wide, and on the Hurom H400, it's also about 6.5 inches wide. Where things get a little bit interesting is when we put it to the side, and you guys can see how long it is. So let's go ahead and measure the Nama J2. The Nama J2 is approximately, I don't know, 7.1/8 inches wide. So that's how big of a footprint. 6.5 by 7.1/8 on your countertop. So that's how much, you know, space it takes. Whereas on the Hurom H400, right, the overall space approximately is 8.5 inches long. So this is a lot longer. So this is going to be a bigger footprint on your countertop, and also it's taller. So this is actually a larger machine. That being said, now when you are juicing, it will save you space, because you're just going to have to put the small catch cup here, and that overall takes less space than the Nama J2 that has the catch cup on one side and the pulp container on the other side. That being said, the Nama J2 is designed for bulk juicing, and you can juice a lot more volume in one fall swoop than you can with the Hurom H400. So maybe if you guys don't want to juice a lot, the H400 might be for you. So next up, after doing the measurements of the size, I want to do measurements of the sound. How loud are each of these machines? We're going to be doing a decibel meter testing, but before we do, I want to show you guys a little bit more insight on how loud these machines are. The Nama J2 runs at 50 revolutions per minute. That's how fast the motor spins and how fast the auger spins. This is a slow juicer because it runs at a low and slow 50 revolutions per minute. Generally, the lower the RPM, the less oxygen is actually put into the juice, so you're going to have a higher juice quality. In addition, the lower the RPM, the more quiet the machine is. High-speed machines that run in excess of 10,000 RPMs have been described to me as an airplane taking off in your kitchen. That being said, the Hurom H400 is nowhere near 10,000, but it's almost double what the Nama J2 runs at, is 50. This machine runs at a more quick 90 revolutions per minute, about twice as fast. So this may put a little bit more oxygen into the juice. In addition, because the machine is basically taking the produce in and running it through the machine almost twice as quickly, it may not get as much yield or grind the produce to a finer particle size to extract more nutrients out of the juice. And let's go ahead and do the sound test. So first we'll be sound testing the Hurom H400. I think we're peaking at about 64, 65 decibels. That's still rather quiet. There was a little bit of squeaking going on with that. Next, let's go ahead and check the NAMA J2. All right, this was about 66 decibels, so just a little bit more loud. Maybe this is my older used machine that I personally have used for so long, so maybe it's a bit more worn in than the brand new Hurom H400. Now, of course, when you are juicing in it, these machines can make some noise. For example, if you're juicing a vegetable called jicama, that generally tends to squeak a lot more, and some squeaking during juicing, which will make it louder, can be considered normal on both these machines. So next, let's go ahead and compare the parts of these two machines side by side as we take apart the juicer parts and show you guys and compare them one by one for you. So as you guys can see, the NAMA J2 is fully exposed. All the juicer parts are easy to see, so you can see what is going on in the hopper at all times and see what's going on in the chamber as well. The handle also of the J2 is in the front, as is the rotary dial to turn it on and for the momentary reverse. So you just pick this up and take all the juicer parts off like that. Whereas on the Hurom H400, this is the front of the machine where the juice comes out, but you have to reach around to the back to grab the handle to pull the juicer parts out. Now, as you guys can see, the hopper is available so you guys can see what's going on in there, but you can't see what's going on inside the juicer chamber. You can only see this little sight glass that shows you, how much juice is stored in the juicer chamber. Should you keep your pulp flap closed during juicing, I recommend you never keep your pulp flap closed during juicing personally. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and lift this up. And the other thing I wanna mention is that on the Hurom H400, the on-off switch is also in the back. And if this machine is facing you, because you're facing the machine as it's on your kitchen counter, you're looking at the front of the machine, you're not looking at the back on how much this is filling up, or you're having the button handy. So you may even want to juice with it on the kitchen counter sideways, so you get to kind of like reach the buttons for access, see the juice coming out, and also kind of peer over and look at the pulp coming out. To me, that's not the most efficient design. It's much easier to keep an eye on the NAMA J2 because it's kind of all laid out in front of you. Anyways, this unit looks a little bit top heavy to me because it's more thin on the bottom and then more wide and fat on the top. In addition, this part is also a lot taller than the NAMA J2. So to put them side by side so you guys can see, that's how they look. Let's go ahead and take each of these apart, show you guys each component. All right, so on the NAMA J2, you could easily grab the handle and turn it, and it just will lift off like that. And same thing on the Hurom, you're just gonna go ahead and turn it to the side, and it's gonna lift off. So you guys can clearly see that the Hurom hopper is not as tall. That being said, what you guys can't see is that it's actually a lot more wide. So if I put the NAMA hopper in front of the Hurom hopper, you guys can see the Hurom hopper is a little bit more wider. So the Hurom hopper in this case is actually more fat and squat than the NAMA J2 hopper, which is more tall and narrow. That being said, I did do capacity testing before this video by filling both of these up with einkorn grain to see how much each hopper could hold. And to be honest with you, I basically filled up the Hurom H400 hopper, which they advertise as being the largest hopper on the market at this time. And I would say actually that's not entirely accurate, because I took all the einkorn from the Hurom hopper, put it in the NAMA J2 hopper, and I had that much left. So, this is not much bigger, maybe like that much bigger. That being said, I do not believe that Hurom should be advertising the Hurom H400 hopper as the largest hopper, when in fact the NAMA J2 hopper is that much bigger. And likewise, these are not even the largest hoppers on the market anyways, because Kuving came out with their brand new Auto 10 hopper style juicer that has a hopper that is 3 liters, whereas both these hoppers are approximately 2 liters, give or take. So next up, we're gonna go ahead and take off the hopper lid. So the hopper lid is very easy to access on the NAMA J2. It's like a trigger, right? So you put your hand down here, and you guys can see my finger. I'm just gonna clip this in and pull it down, and then this just pops up. That's a very easy action to get this to pop up. So on the Hurom H400, there's no, lever on here where you're holding it. What you're gonna have to do is you're gonna take your finger over here and you're gonna have to come underneath and then pull this out. So, you're gonna have to have a stronger finger to pull it out and kind of lift it up to make it pop up. So to me, the NAMA J2 is much more user-friendly and a lot easier to open. This is a little more cumbersome. So both these lids are hinged and can come off for easy cleaning. The thing I want to share is the hole size in the middle. So these hole sizes, if we line these up, they're actually identically the same size. So this can be used to feed in produce as you're juicing. Now what is different about these lids is the build quality. To me, the Hurom lid seems a little bit lighter than the NAMA J2 lid, which seems a little bit more stout and a little bit thicker plastic. Now the other thing that's a big concern for me is usability. I'm all about having a machine practical. Hey, if you want to get a better looking juicer, yes, the Hurom H400 looks more futuristic and it kind of doesn't even look like a juicer. You might think, what is that, a coffee maker? Whereas the J2 does look like a juicer. But this is not super functional, guys, because if you guys look at this, this is like a little volcano because it's actually angled down. So if you put a cherry tomato right on the edge, it's actually just gonna roll in to the machine to get juiced. Whereas on the Hurom H400, basically this lid is basically flat. So you could set something here and it's actually not gonna automatically roll in. So this is gonna cause you to have to put something directly in the middle, whereas on the NAMA J2, it kind of has a little funnel, so it helps push things in and things drop in themselves due to gravity, which is in the end is going to save you guys some time. All right, next looking at the Hurom and NAMA J2 hoppers here, I do have to say that I do like the hopper handle on the Hurom H400. They really redesigned this, and this seems like a nice and heavy-duty component compared to the hoppers on their previous generation. An easy, clean, screenless design juicer. So I will give them props for that one right there. Of course, the NAMA J2 hopper, is a lot more streamlined because this is basically one piece of molded plastic, whereas this is multiple pieces of molded plastic. You got the smoke piece, but then you got a dark plastic piece, and I don't know, I guess they're plastic welded together or something like that. So that may mean over time this is not quite as strong because now the parts may separate or something may happen. So the other thing that's a little bit different about these hoppers is if you look on the inside, right? These hoppers, like the J2 hopper, is more round. It's a total cylinder with a little cutout here for the safety switch. Whereas on the Hurom H400 hopper, it's basically round, but then it has a whole side that's cut out, so it's flat. So I'm not sure if they did this to get away from the patent that NAMA may have, or just have a different shape, or maybe they found this worked more efficiently, which we will determine that or not. The other thing that's quite interesting is that they both have the processing blade on the bottom. And if I look at the processing blade, to me, they look almost identical, to me, just by my untrained eye, they look pretty much the same shape. I know that NAMA did go through, 300 different revisions of the different processing blade to make sure that the processing blade worked most effectively to cut produce up and drop it into the machine at the proper rate to get juiced and create the highest yield possible. So I'm not sure if Hurom just basically copied the NAMA part or not. Now the other thing that's really interesting is the hole in the bottom of the hopper. Let's go ahead and move the processing blade out of the way so you guys could just see the hole in the bottom of the hopper. All right, so you guys can see the hole in the bottom of the hopper, this little hole that I'm talking about right here, and here is the hole in the Hurom H400. You guys can see the holes. We can show you guys from the top side, and we'll also show you guys from the bottom side as well. So can you guys see the difference in the hole sizes? Which one is bigger? I haven't measured these, but if I had to say, I would say the NAMA J2 hole here is approximately 50% larger. Just, by my guessing, because I didn't measure it, of course. And so to me, what does that mean? That means that there's going to be a lot more agitation of produce in the hopper to get it to drop in before it drops in. So this may increase, in my opinion, significantly how long this machine takes to juice. So that means it's not going to be quite as efficient because this hopper, hole is so much smaller. So things going in a small hole is not quite as easy as things going in a big hole. So that's actually interesting that they design it like this. So although it has a smaller hole, the machine runs almost twice as quickly. So maybe that's going to feed things in really quick, and maybe they needed to moderate how fast things went in by having that smaller hole. We will see when we do the juicing in it, but that's quite interesting. Now, of course, on the bottom of the hoppers, that's what it looks like, and they both have gaskets. And actually, interestingly enough, they use a very similar style gasket on both hoppers, which are basically seated to the top of the hopper instead of the sides, which actually is a design I like. And I will say that I want to commend Hurom on improving the H400 over the H300. I thought the design of the bottom of their H300 hopper really sucked. It had some channels where pulp would get stuck, and I hated it. But they've done a really good job on the bottom of the hopper on the H400. I mean, it's pretty much just as easy to clean as the NAMA J2. So I really can't say anything about that. So yeah, good job, guys, on the hoppers for both you guys. Of these two hoppers, I'd have to say I'm going to prefer the NAMA J2 hopper. The larger hole makes it a lot easier to clean. I do like that it's round and a cylinder versus flattened off. And of course, on the different tops, I do prefer the NAMA top that has more of a funnel that helps you feed things in. So next, let's go over the juicing bowls of each of the machines and how these machines juice. While you guys can see the hoppers are fairly similar, they use a very similar processing blade and similar technique to feed the produce into the machines. Once the produce is fed into the machine, that's where things change a lot. The NAMA J2 uses a more traditional screen style design. This is the design that has been used for over 30 years in slow juicers to juice. Whereas the Hurom H400, that you could say is innovating, and with their easy clean system, they no longer have screen holes, right? I still believe that the screenless design is a new and innovative technique, and I give Hurom props for, taking juicing to the next level. That being said, I'm used to a screen design that generally puts less pulp in the juice and does a really good job. So I hope in their new version, they've outdone their H200, H300 model and even improve this even more. So let's go ahead and find out. So first up, in the NAMA J2, we have the auger coming out. This is a traditional auger with the addition of divots. The divots are there to help keep the noise a little bit more quiet when the juicer is juicing, from what I'm told. And then on the Hurom H400, we have the auger coming out as well. As you guys can see, it is significantly larger. That being said, the only parts of the Hurom H400 are the auger as well as the juicing bowl. And then this auger separates into two parts. You guys can see it just comes apart. So basically, when you're done juicing, and that's why this is an easy clean juicer, you have 1, 2, 3 parts to clean. Whereas on the NAMA J2, you have the bowl, right? Similar bowls. You have a juicing screen, you have a wiping blade, and then you have an auger. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1, 2, 3. Also, I will say that, the juicing screen does require some scrubbing with a brush to dislodge pulp from all the different holes, which does take a little bit longer, maybe a minute or two, that you don't have to do on the Hurom H400 because it doesn't have the screen holes. That being said, while some people may just want to rinse this off, I discourage you guys from rinsing off any juicer parts because over time, especially things like turmeric will stain with the turmeric wax, or carotenoids will stain with the carotenoid pigments and turn your juicer like a turquoise kind of color. So you should brush it off with soap and water after every use, or you can get buildup. Celery can basically make mineral deposits on your juicer parts, which can degrade performance over time. And if you just rinse it off every time on this, the way this machine works is as it's grinding between the plastic of the auger and the plastic inside the juicing bowl. So if these holes in between the auger get clogged up because you get residual mineral buildup, then your yield overall and your performance overall is going to go down. That's why I do not recommend, simply just rinsing this off with water like many videos may show. Likewise, I believe you guys should scrub down your screen every time with soap and water as well to get all the mineral deposits and any pulp that's stuck in the holes out, because over time, if you let those accumulate, you can plug all your holes. And I visited people where they have a juicer that they didn't clean it too well. They just rinsed it off because they're hippies and didn't use soap or whatever. And all the screen holes were clogged, and like the performance of the juicer really sucked because the juice couldn't come out the holes because they were plugged up. At that point, it's easier to buy a new screen than to sit there with a pin and unplug all the holes. So you guys can see there's basically one less part to clean on the Hurom Easy Clean design. So let's go ahead and go over each of these parts. So, you know, both these augers are made from the same GE Ultra material that is 8 times harder than the plastic formerly used on juicers, and probably the plastic that is still used on some inexpensive Chinese juicers of today. I will say that Hurom has improved this part over their previous generation of screenless designs, and I do like it. It is actually more heavy duty than the previous design. And the interesting thing is, on the top of both these augers, it looks like pretty much it uses the same connection point to connect to the hopper to get the processing blade to rotate. On the bottom, as you guys can see, it almost has the similar connection to the motor base. So let's take a look, see if we could put this auger. This auger fits on the J2, and I'm sure this auger would fit into the Hurom H400. So that's interesting that they're interchangeable, but they're not really interchangeable. The thing I will say is that, you know, if you should drop this auger, there are little gears on the bottom that runs the wiper blade. This may hurt your foot and damage your foot. It may, you know, mess up one of the teeth on here, but I've dropped this on several occasions and it's always been durable. I've never really damaged it. That being said, I'm a little more concerned about this part. This part, you guys can see it actually just comes down with these tines. And if I press really hard, I could show you guys flexing. I could flex these tines. So if it comes down at an angle and you drop it on your, you know, tile floor, it may break one of these tines, which would not be covered under warranty. So I'd say the NAMA auger is a little more durable. So we could compare this piece to the juicing screen. So honestly, this piece is a lot easier to clean than a juicing screen. That being said, I want you guys to clean this part when you're done juicing. Now, cleaning a juicing screen is really easy because you're just basically brushing the outside, brushing the inside, and you're done. Whereas on this part, you almost got to get in between the fins because juice can collect on the fins and, you know, mineral buildup can occur. So you got to kind of brush around each fin, which also can take some time as well. I do like inside the middle of this, the fins, and they're kind of not screen. They did improve this, including to have a little pusher thing on here that basically will help funnel and push pulp out the machine. So once again, kudos to Hurom for improving their design of their screenless design. You know, if I was going to get a screenless design, it would be the H400 over the H300, which is sold in the USA as the Omega Effortless Batch Juicer, or even the small little mini Hurom 310 model that is also in the US and also available around the world that doesn't have the latest advancements that the H400 does. Now, of course, also on the NAMA J2, you have the wiping blade, which does play an important feature. It helps keep the screen clean, so when you're done juicing, the screen is going to be a little bit easier to clean. Also, as it's running, it basically flushes off juice out of the screen to keep it flowing into your cup. Whereas on the Hurom H400, there's no such wiper on the Hurom H400, so as the machine's running, gravity just has to basically pull the juice and have it actually come in through the holes and then out the bottom and then out where the juice spout comes out. So that's how these two are different. Let's get into the juicing bowls next and what you're going to need to clean. So both these juicing bowls are very similar. For some reasons, I like the Hurom H400 juicing bowl, you know, more than the J2 juicing bowl. For other reasons, I like the J2 juicing bowl. So I will say that the Hurom H400 juicing bowl is a lot more heavy than the NAMA J2 juicing bowl. This just has a lot more weight because it's a lot thicker plastic. I really like this H400 over the 300 model. The 300 model had actually, it was basically hollow on the inside, so it gave you a lot more cleaning points to clean. So I really appreciate that Hurom improved that part and took away that hollowness so that underneath you can't stick your fingers up underneath there and there's gonna be no gunk or anything to collect because it's just one solid piece. And I think that's why this machine, this part is even heavier. In addition, unlike the previous parts, right, Hurom has made the H400 easier to clean than the H300 because the passageways at the bottom are larger. So especially the pulp passageway where the pulp comes out right in the middle of the machine, this is a lot easier to clean than their previous generations. That being said, the outer lane, which is where all the juice comes and then flows out, that's still very tight, and you're going to have to use the back end of that brush, the toothbrush thing, to kind of get in there to clean that. And that actually is going to be quite hard and very difficult to clean. Meanwhile, over on the NAMA J2 bowl, this is very easy to clean because on the bottom of this, it's basically flat with no significant kind of channels. There's a small inner channel for where the pulp comes out, but it's not as deep as the Hurom H400 channel. In addition, on the NAMA J2, you also have this little gear, this spinning gear that you just need to brush out a little bit, and it's relatively easy to clean. I do like the color of the NAMA J2 juicing bowl because it's just basically the one same smoke color, but for some reason Hurom feels that they need to basically color the inside of this juicing bowl with a little like yellowish orange pigment. And my personal belief is because if you juice a lot of carrots, that will stain the plastic this color anyways, and then you probably won't be able to get it off easily. So that if they just made this, the inside of this that color already, the color stains will not show. So that's what I think. I don't know any other reason why they would actually make the inside of this like a two-tone color, because I know that's got to be more expensive for them to make. Now the other thing I will say is let's go over where the pulp is ejected. So on the NAMA J2, you have this little spout release that you just clip this, and then this whole thing drops down so you can do the easy cleaning on where the pulp comes out. So I do like that it's a quick release and easy to clean. That being said, this is a lot longer run, which is about this long total, whereas on the Hurom H400, right, the run on that, and once again they have that same pretty much similar clip down, you clip it down and drop it. I really love this because this clip down, the run on this is like half as much. So there's not going to be much pulp left in here when they're done. So I really love this design on the Hurom H400. Now what I don't like about this design is that they have this pulp flap is basically stuck on there with a little, tab. So you can't really easily pull it out to clean. That being said, the pro of this is that you can't pull it out to clean and you'll never lose it. But cleaning underneath there is a bit more difficult. Whereas on the NAMA J2, the run, once again, is longer, and you could also unplug this to clean underneath and get it fully clean and make sure you have no residues, no particles. So I prefer this more than it stuck on, but of course, for those of you guys that like lose things, the Hurom H400 would probably be a better option. So then we could just go ahead and close this up. Now, going over to the side where the juice comes out, right? Once again, this run is about this long on the NAMA J2. It's a fairly easy shot to clean because it just basically goes straight in and comes straight out, and then you have a pulp flap to kind of keep the juices inside the machine to mix inside the juicer. I do not recommend you guys do that. I only recommend you guys close the pulp flap when you're done juicing to prevent drips on your countertop. If you do leave the juice inside the machine to run around and mix, you will be doing two things. You will be oxygenating it more because as the spinning blade is inside there, it's rotating the juice and introducing more oxygen than what is needed to be in the juice to put more dissolved oxygen in the juice. Number two, the juicer is trying to juice while it is concurrently swimming in juice. So that's not a good thing in terms of yield, in my opinion, and you will get a little bit less yield if you allow that to happen, although it does look cool when you open it up and all the juice flows out, all right? Meanwhile, over on the Hurom H400, this is a very interesting design on this, and I'm not exactly sure why they did this, and actually I don't really like this part of the Hurom H400 bowl. So they do have a spout cap here, which I have not tested on how efficient it is. I have heard that it may leak and is not quite good at sealing after it's fully closed. I don't know if that's true or not, so we will see. But the action on this is a little more difficult to use because you got to get your finger kind of in here and then flip it up, and there's these side things, whereas on the NAMA J2, it's a lot easier to access and just push up. All right, so that's number one. So you could close it or open it, a little bit harder to use than the Nama. Now the other thing is it has this sight glass. It's like the old-fashioned gas tanks that you could actually have to look in the gas tank and actually see how much gas is in there. You know, should you keep this closed, this sight glass will actually just fill up with juice to see how much juice is in the juicing chamber as the machine is going. Once again, I do not recommend you guys do that, because if the juicing chamber is filled up with juice, the machine's trying to extract juice into the juicing chamber, but it's already full of juice, right? So your pulp is going to come out a bit wetter, in my opinion. So that being said, now also this is another thing that you'll have to clean. So to clean inside there, it's pretty tricky. You got to go to the bottom, and there's this little clip here. You just clip that out, and then this whole piece lifts up just for this sight glass. So you can see how much juice is in there should you keep it closed. So I recommend if you keep it open, you know, you probably won't have to open this up as much to clean it, although you probably should. Also, there's another gasket in here that's quite big, that if this gasket should fail, juice could be leaking out the side, or you should lose this gasket. I don't know. I don't personally like that part of the design myself, but it is quite interesting to make things look a little bit cooler. Also, this is a lot more area to brush down, because once again, if you're juicing highly pigmented juice such as carrots, the carotenoid stains can stain the plastic. You know, mineral buildup can occur with celery, and once again, another area to clean. So while this is an easy clean, you know, this actually makes it a little bit more difficult to clean, in my opinion. You have to close that and then latch it down in place. So yeah, quite interesting. Overall, I like this part of all the easy clean juicers the best, because they've definitely improved it with the H400. So this is their latest design. And if I was going to get an easy clean, it would be the H400 for sure. So now what I want to do for you guys is go over the different motor bases and compare and contrast those. So as you guys can see, the motor base on the H400 is a lot larger than the motor base of the Nama J2. We kind of went over the sizing a little bit earlier. That being said, what makes this big is that, number one, they have the built-in pulp couch container. And number two, to make it look cool or to hide the juicing components, they basically kind of have this plastic surround, so you actually can't see it juicing on the inside and see how fast the produce is blowing through the chamber, running at 90 revolutions per minute, maybe not extracting all the juice or getting as good of a grind. So that's interesting that they chose to do this. I mean, maybe it looks more like a coffee maker or a modern design kitchen appliance if you don't want to, if you want to hide the fact that you're a juicer or not. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it fits into some, you know, more Asian or European style kitchens where they want things a little bit more modern. And absolutely, it does look more modern, and it does come in more colors and different two-tone colors than the Nama J2, which comes in the current black and white, and also, you know, maybe the limited edition gray may come back as well. Of course, both these machines have a full 150 watt motor, so they have the same wattage on the motor. Although I'm not familiar with the specific torque specifications, I can say that I have used the J2 for over 2 years now, and I believe it has the proper torque specifications to, you know, properly bulk juice without stopping. Both these machines have a 30-minute runtime. That being said, I will say I have used the J2 for up to 1 hour on many occasions without any problem. That being said, I will say that both these machines are designed for household use, and any commercial use may void the warranties on these machines. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and assemble each of these machines to show you guys how to do it. They're both very simple and easy to assemble. And actually on assembly, I'm gonna have to say the Hurom H400 is that much easier than the Nama J2 because simply there are less parts. So for the H400, you got your juicing bowl here. You're gonna have to go ahead and clip this shut. You're gonna also make sure that this clip is clipped shut as well. You're gonna go ahead and then take the main auger part and this tine part with the bottom of the auger, and you're just gonna go ahead and put these together. It locks into place, and then it basically just drops down into the main body. You're gonna go ahead and then take the hopper, and this is the part that I don't like that much. You gotta look for a little arrow. They should put like a little bit of paint on this arrow so you guys can see it a little bit better, and then you need to look for this lock and unlock on the hopper here. And you're just gonna go ahead and set it to the unlock and line it up with the arrow. So you could line it up like that. Once you do, you're gonna go ahead and turn it so the arrow lines up with the lock, which is just like that. Once you do that, you're gonna find out that the handle is directly over where the pulp comes out, and where the juice comes out, there's no handle. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and set this and set it down right into the machine. Once again, hiding all the juicer components from your view, from public view, and you're just going to see the top hopper. So to me, this may look like some kind of modern coffee maker or something if you don't want your friends to know that you're juicing fruits and vegetables, all right? Meanwhile, on the NAMA J2, it's also very simple and easy to assemble. On the main bowl, you're going to flip this up and latch this on. Next up, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take the wiping blade and just shove that onto the juicing screen. You guys can see it clearly rotates. You're going to go ahead and then look for these little half circles. There's a small one and there's a large one. And you're going to line up these half circles with the half circles inside the J2 juicing bowl. Small to small, large to large. That just drops in place. Next, you're going to go ahead and take the auger and just drop that down the middle until it fully seats, and you're all done. All right, so to assemble the J2 hopper, what you're going to do is you're going to find the line on the bottom of the hopper of the J2 and line up that little line with the little unlock on top of the juicing bowl. It's going to drop in place, and then you're just going to go ahead and turn it to lock it to the lock. If you'd assembled this correctly, this top part, this protrusion here, will line up with the protrusion on the bottom. That is assembled correctly. Unfortunately, NAMA will also let you assemble this incorrectly, where you take the handle and you line it up, and the handle is lined up with this protrusion, and the front, this protrusion just doesn't connect to anything. So you always want to make sure this protrusion connects with this protrusion. If you don't assemble this correctly, the machine will not turn on, and this is the #1 reason why new people that buy the juicer think that they got a defective machine, because it's not assembled correctly. If they've assembled it correctly, it'll drop on top of the machine, and then you can turn the machine on. Likewise, on the Hurom H400, once it is properly assembled, all the parts are in place, you can turn this on as well. So that's what we got so far, guys. What do you guys think of all the different parts and the comparison and the warranty? You guys could clearly see, while these are both hopper style machines, they're a little bit different. I would say that the Hurom H400 definitely is a little bit easier to clean, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. The downside to it is that you have a much smaller collection cup and a much smaller pulp collection cup as well. You know, each of these machines has their own design pros and cons. You may think the J2 looks really nice. You may think the Hurom looks really nice. I'm more of a practical guy, so I've juiced before in the J2. This is going to be my first time juicing in the H400. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do a juice off, and we're going to juice even amounts of produce in both machines. So first, let's go ahead and do a produce weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. All right, as you guys can see, we're all set up and ready to juice, but first, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. Let's go ahead and show you guys a close-up on the scales to show you guys what produce we got and how much it weighs. Over on the Hurom H400 side, we got 1454.5. We got a whole bowl of mixed pineapple, apple, cucumber, collard greens, celery, a little bit of ginger and lemon, and the same mix over on the NAMA J2 side. And once again, we got 1454.5. Show you guys both scales. We have identical and even amounts of produce. So let's get juicing. All right, so today I think I'll first be juicing in the NAMA J2 juicer. We're gonna go ahead and move that produce aside. We're gonna bring up a stopwatch front and center so you guys can see how long it actually takes to juice in the NAMA J2. So I guess what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and hit the start button, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and fill the produce into the hopper. It might take 1 or 2 fills, and we're just gonna go ahead and let the juicer juice and see how long it takes. I think we'll speed this part of the video up for you guys. I've already pre-cut all the produce and kind of mixed it up. That's always going to work the best. Instead of just doing one thing at a time, you want to give the machine different textures. Of course, if you're loading the machine up little by little, you know, there's a loading pattern you should use by basically putting leafy greens first, you know, things that are a bit lighter like fruits, and then maybe root vegetables on top, which will help weigh it down and get it to work better. I just like to mix everything up in a bowl and then evenly distribute it, and I find it works fairly well in the J2 as well. So let's go ahead and hit the start, and let's go ahead and get juicing. So we're just gonna go ahead and open this lid up, and we're just gonna go ahead and take handfuls of this and drop it in the machine as fast as I can, and we're gonna turn the machine on. So I think to save you guys some time, we're gonna speed this part of the video up for you. as you guys can see, pretty much the juice stopped flowing out of the Nama J2, as well as the pulp stops flowing. That's when we know we're done. So we're gonna go ahead and hit the stop button. As you guys can see in the Nama J2, it took 4 minutes and 51 seconds to juice all this in the Nama J2. What we're gonna do is go ahead and turn it off. And I always like to take the machine and tip it up. You're gonna get some of the last residual juice out of the juicer. Looks like we made almost 1,000 milliliters of juice. We do have a little bit of foam on there, which is considered normal. If you juice more greens, then it tends to foam more than if you juice, say, like all pineapple, for example. Next, let's go ahead and reset the stopwatch, and let's go ahead and next juice in the Hurom H400. Now, the Hurom H400, I will need to keep an eye on the pulp catch bin to make sure it doesn't overflow, and make sure that this does not overflow as well, because this will overflow because, you know, we've made about 100 milliliters of juice and the catch cup is only like 700. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as you guys can see, the Hurom is pretty much done. I'm not seeing pulp coming out, and I'm not seeing really any juice coming out. So let's go ahead and hit the stop button, turn the machine off, and as you guys can see, we're at 5 minutes and 5 seconds. So it took a very similar amount of time when you pre-cut the produce to a nice small size. That being said, if you leave pieces a lot larger, I believe that the Nama J2 would be a little more effective and juice quicker than the Hurom H400 because it runs a lot faster, and that chute that actually has to feed things in through the hopper is a lot smaller. So once again, on this machine, let's go ahead. We're gonna have to pick this up and then tip it forward like this. And you guys can see we have, you know, definitely residue inside the chamber. And we'll take this apart to show you guys actually how much was not juiced. But in the middle of juicing, I actually had to stop and then run it through a sieve and then collect the juice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and strain out both juices for you guys to see how much pulp each juicer put in to the juice. Nama J2 juice coming right out. And let's go ahead and strain this out off camera for you guys. All right, so I got that juice sieved out, and the Nama J2 juice was a lot easier to sieve out because there's a lot less pulp. Like I've said in my previous videos before, right? The screenless design generally tends to put more pulp in the juice in most cases. Now, of course, there are exceptions where it might not make as much pulp, but in this case, there's significantly more pulp. Just by looking at it, I'm gonna say approximately 3 times, and it's interesting because the pulp color is also different. So let me go ahead and hold that up for you guys so you guys could see on camera. So here's the pulp in the Nama J2. It's kind of a deeper, richer, darker color. And here's the pulp in the Hurom H400. It's a little bit lighter in color, and it's significantly more, maybe 3 to 4 times more pulp. So that's actually quite interesting. The next thing I want to do is we're going to go ahead and weigh out the pulp to see how much more pulp the Hurom H400 put into the juice than the Nama J2. All right, first up, let's go ahead and check out the Nama J2 juicer pulp. All right, looks like we got a total of 16.8 grams of pulp from the Nama J2. Next, let's go ahead and check out how much pulp was in the Hurom H400. 35.8 grams of pulp, so approximately 2 times as much pulp was put in the juice from the Hurom H400. Depending on your specific recipe, you might have up to 4 to 5 times more pulp. It also depends on how well you pre-cut the items as you fill up the hopper. All right, let's go ahead and check out the yields. Clearly, as you guys can see, the Nama J2 made a higher yield and made more juice than the Hurom H400, but not by much. So let's go ahead and do a close-up. All right, there's a close-up on both the juices. You could clearly see the J2 actually made more juice than the Hurom H400. Over in the H400, looks like we got approximately 900 milliliters of juice, pretty much straight up. We kind of go over to the Nama J2. You guys can see we got almost, not quite 1,000. I'm going to say that's like 990 milliliters of juice. So literally we made approximately 10% more juice. Now, if we look at the foam, both machines made a little bit of foam. I'm going to say the Hurom H400 made a tad bit more, but not a significant amount. All right, guys, so I could say I'm actually impressed on how well the Hurom H400 did. While it didn't beat the J2, it got within 10% of the yield. That being said, let's go ahead and check out the juice and how the juices taste. First, we're going to go ahead and taste the Hurom H400 juice. See how that tastes. I mean, that's a good juice. I have nothing to compare it to yet. Let's go ahead and taste the J2 juice. Interesting. Let me go ahead and try that one more time here. What I'm going to say is that these juices taste very similar. Like at a scale of 100, 100 was like these juices taste identical. I'm going to say these juices are like a 90. They taste almost the same. I taste the J2 actually has less particulate in there. So even after using a double fine sieve to straighten out the pulp that you guys saw how much more pulp, it was 2 times as much pulp put into the juice. It still had some fine specks of pulp that actually made it through the sieve because obviously there's twice as much and some of it was fine enough to go through the sieve. So now I had a little bit of texture in the juice. Whereas I would say the Nama J2 has more of a pure juice. So the pure juice technology to make a pure juice with the traditional screen style design, right? Once again, every juicer has its pros and cons. Like cleaning is your number one and you don't care if there's tons more pulp in the juice. You don't care if it takes longer to make, you know. You don't care if you get shortchanged 7.5 times less warranty. Then you might want to get the Hurom. But if you could deal with a minute or two more cleaning, you could get 10% more juice every time. You could juice a little bit more quickly, have a 7.5 times longer parts warranty, then you probably want to go with the J2. That being said, we're not done yet. So while I did just taste test the juices, I want to show you guys actually what is left inside the juicer when you're done, right? Why did the Hurom H400 make 10% less juice? To me, it's a little bit evident when I look at the hoppers of each of the machines. I hope in the future they make hoppers clear so you could easily see what's going on. I can see what's inside, but you guys can't. So let's go ahead. And I did not brush down the hoppers. Normally, if I'm juicing for myself, I'll see what's in the hopper, then I'll swish down the sides and make it go in before I cut it off. But I want to show you guys real world experience of what happens when you juice without doing any of my stuff to make extra yield. So we're going to go ahead and take the Nama J2 top set off. We're going to go ahead and pull this out. And if we open up the lid here, as you guys could see, right, this hopper is fairly clean. I mean, out on the back side right here, actually, there's a lot more pulp than I normally ever see in the Nama J2. So I'm a little bit surprised by this. But nonetheless, it did a very effective job at clearing out most of the hopper of any residual pulp stuck to the sides, except for this back side, which is a little bit interesting. In addition, there's a little bit of pulp underneath as well. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the Hurom H400. Now, some of this pulp can be avoided by basically loading in all your greens on the bottom and then putting harder produce in on top. Normally, when I'm juicing at the end, I'll put like a whole bunch of carrots or some celery at the end, swish that down with my hand, and then the leaves won't stick. The leaves tend to stick more to the sides than, say, like big apple chunks or pineapple slices. But that's why I showed you guys this recipe, so I could show you guys actually what happens. So let's go ahead and take this off, and let's go ahead and pop this up. Once again, both these on the top of these lids, there's nothing. But once again, now let's look inside the Hurom H400. Look at all the residual pulp, guys. Like, I mean, the Nama had some on one side, but this is like, this side has some, this side has some, this side has some. There's like residual pulp all the way around. I'm confident if you juice the pulp that's still stuck to the side, right, you would have maybe another 10% more juice or something. There's a lot of pulp, and I want to compare these for you guys, right? Look at the difference. You guys see the difference in the pulp, right? Which one was more effective? Which is a better design, right? Nama took like 300 different tries to make this, processing blade optimal so that they could feed in things properly into the machine without having all the residual stuck on waste. I've seen other brand hopper juicers that have more stuck on waste, and to me that bothers me because like everything I compare against the Nama that actually has it dialed in really well. So there's a lot of extra pulp stuck on the bottom of the machine. Now, yes, you could fling it in there, but the question is, why didn't the engineers at Hurom try recipes like this and then design it more effectively so that it funnels it in and it gets a higher yield? Maybe they're just trying to kick out brand new juicers every 2 years, so you have to buy the next one that fixes the problem of this one, because definitely the H400 fixes some problems that, in my opinion, the H300 had. Once again, on the bottom here, whoa, look at that, guys. There's a lot of pulp, or a lot of, produce on the bottom still. I mean, to me, this is an unacceptable amount of produce to have left in the hopper. Like, although I do like the H400, because it's improved on a lot of the H300 issues, like, this is not acceptable. There's, like, way too much produce left inside the hopper that just did not get funneled down. Next up, let's go ahead and see what's left inside the juicer. Now, once again, inside every juicer, when you're done, there will always be more pulp, right? You can let the machine run longer, and at some point, things just won't come out anymore. You could actually just put in like a couple handfuls of celery. The celery will help push through all the greens and the softer stuff. A better thing to use would be like a root vegetable, like put in 3 or 4 carrots when you're done juicing. The carrot pulp generally tends to go through the machine a lot better and clear out any kind of, leafy greens that generally tend to stick more and not go through as easily. Of course, my favorite produce item to put in at the end is some cubed up jicama. So we pull out the auger on the J2. You guys can see the bottom half of the auger is pretty clean. Right as things go in, you can see once again, we got the greens stuck. That's why I did the greens, because I knew it was gonna get stuck, and I want to show you guys the differences on, how much was left inside the machine. So yes, there's a little bit stuck inside the NAMA J2 on, the top half of the auger. And then, of course, inside the juicing screen, you guys can see there's also some produce inside. But if we look on the outside of the juicing screen, right, it's like there's no clogged in pulp. It's going to be very easy to clean. Once again, the bottom of the bowl, we definitely have some residual pulp. And we could drop down this hatch, and you guys can see there's a little bit of pulp in the hatch as well. Onto the Hurom H400, pulling out this auger here. The top half of the auger, once again, there's actually a bit less pulp on top of the auger than on the NAMA J2. That's because most of the pulp was actually left in the hopper, where there's significant amount of pulp. Once again, pulling out the bottom half of the auger screen design, which is actually a little bit stuck inside here due to the pressure and the grinding of the produce. I'm actually having to pull up fairly difficult. And once again, there's not a lot on this auger. So Hurom's done an excellent job in improving the design of the juicing parts, but maybe not so much on the hopper. So once again, on the bottom of this juicing bowl, you guys can see actually there's not a lot of pulp left in the bottom. It's done a fairly good job at sending it through. If it did get into the hopper, there is the outer and inner channel. And the outer channel where all the pulp runs out is actually quite clogged up with pulp, and the inner channel where the juice runs out is actually quite clear. Of course, we also have where the pulp flap comes down. We can open this up, and you guys can see there's actually very little pulp stuck in here. There's a lot more in the part of the NAMA that has a much larger run. So what I'll say is that, the Hurom H400 is definitely an improvement over the H300 in their previous generation screenless design. I'm saying that this is up to par, and I hope they even improve it better in their next model. That being said, what I'm really saddened about is just how much is really left in this hopper bowl. Of course, depending on what you're juicing, there may be more or less left in the hopper bowl, but this specific recipe, right, shows that this is a very, maybe not well designed in my personal opinion. That being said, the back of the Hurom H400, we didn't even fill it up with that much pulp, so that's impressive. If I juiced twice this amount and made like 2 liters, this pulp container would have been too full. Of course, an easy thing to do is when you're juicing, you could just take it out and then mash it down, and it really goes to a fraction of the size, and then you could actually just put it back in, but you'll probably have to stop the machine when you do this, because if you keep the machine running, pulp is going to still come out, and so it's going to basically just interrupt the process of batch or bulk juicing. So that's what we got today, guys. This video took me like a long time to film, because not only did I have to go through all this, I had to prep all the produce and get everything ready for you guys. I want to honestly know, what did you guys think? Did you guys like the H400? You guys like the NAMA J2? You guys learned all the pros and the cons. On my channel, you're not going to get a 5-minute video that says, buy the NAMA J2 because blah, 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 blah. You're going to find out the pros and the cons, right? So let's go ahead and sum this video up for you guys, right? The first thing I will say is that these machines are price comparable. They're pretty much priced at the same price depending on your country and the exchange rates currently. The NAMA J2 might be cheaper, or the H400 might be cheaper if you're just going on price alone. That being said, my coupon code LESSPULP will throw up right there, will work on the NAMA website for shipping around the world. So it'll save you guys 10% off in your currency value, so that you guys are going to save the most money, and in many cases get the NAMA J2 delivered to you guys for cheaper than you guys could get the H400, right? Number one, price. So in many cases, the J2 will be cheaper. Number two, the warranty, right? Do you guys care about your warranty, or do you not care about your warranty? If you're going to get rid of this juicer in 3 years anyways, who cares if you guys got a 15-year warranty? You're just going to have a disposable juicer that you're going to gift to a friend and let them deal with it, or maybe it's going to end up in a landfill, unfortunately. That being said, I personally like to buy things that are going to last. My goal is to invest in products that are going to last a long time, so I don't got to keep reinventing the wheel and buy a new one when it breaks. Unfortunately, many companies these days have designed products to fail. And with a 2-year warranty, I kind of wonder if Hurom designed this to fail after 2 years, or in some cases, as the paperwork said, there's only a 1-year warranty potentially in some countries around the world. Whereas if you buy the NAMA J2, you have a full 15-year warranty. No matter the country they ship it to you, you'll have a full 15-year warranty, provided you use the right voltage plug type in your country for your country. So we cannot discount the fact that this has a 7.5 times longer warranty. So do you guys want to cheat yourself out of 7.5 times longer warranty and having a well-built machine that you may be able to hand down to your kids, your grandkids, because it is just so built well, built to last, and NAMA backs it up with a full 15-year warranty. Next, we talked about the machines themselves and juicing in them, right? Clearly, the NAMA J2 made 10% more juice in this juice-off comparison. To me, that means the NAMA J2 is a better juicer because it makes more yield with the same amount of produce. Produce prices, especially for organic produce or bio produce, is quite expensive. So why not eke out every little drop of produce you can? 10% over time is going to add up to a lot more juice for you guys to drink, so that you guys could benefit from. Next thing I showed is that the Hurom H400 put 2 times more pulp in your juice. To me, these are juicers. These are not blenders and making smoothies. So for me, I want more of a pure juice. So I appreciate that the NAMA puts the least amount of pulp of most of the slow juicers I've tested, and then you could easily strain it out because there's not a lot. When there's a lot of pulp, I really have to shake it down and do all kinds of stuff to remove that excess pulp that I personally don't want in my juice. Of course, for those of you guys that are outliers out there that don't mind some pulp in your juice and you want double the pulp, buy the Hurom H400 and have twice as much pulp. That being said, in the NAMA J2, you can always take a little bit of pulp out of the pulp bin and drop that back in your juice if you want to have more pulp in there anyways and still get a greater yield. The next thing I'll talk about is if you guys like well-engineered and designed products that are going to be more resistant to failure and designed properly the first time. I do know that NAMA took about 3 years before they released the J2 to the public to dial it in, to make it perfect. And as they get feedback from current customers, they continue to improve the machines to make it more trouble-free for you guys, so you guys don't have to call them and get customer service. I'm not so sure that, how Hurom works, but I will say that, to me, like, this is an engineering failure to me. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, Hurom engineers, if you guys are watching this, but like, to me, you guys really need to improve this, because to me, there's a lot of stuff that just did not get juiced that should have got juiced, in my personal opinion. Whereas on the NAMA J2, it just got juiced the first time. So if you appreciate high quality machines that are gonna be more reliable, more durable for you guys then also want to buy the NAMA J2 juicer. Of course, that being said, if you guys like the aesthetic look of the Hurom H400, because you like how it hides the juicing, right? I really like to see what's going on inside the juicer as it's running. Then get the H400, right? On some levels, the H400 does have more color options, and if you like this style, hey, and you're willing to give up that it's not quite efficient, maybe it's going to cost you more, and you're going to shortchange yourself on the warranty, no problem, go for it, guys. So, here's the thing at the end, what I'm going to say, right, is each of us all have different needs, wants, and desires, right? My videos are here to show you guys the truth, the pros and the cons, the ins and the outs, right? For some reasons, I love the H400. I love their newly designed bowl. I love their newly designed auger system. I hate their hopper, right? I don't like how it hides everything. I don't like how there's the built-in pulp catch that does not allow me to effectively bulk juice a lot without changing out the catch cup or without changing out the pulp catch. That being said, maybe you only juice a glass at a time, right? Then maybe I don't even know if you need a hopper style juicer at that point. To me, the whole goal of hopper juicers is to juice a lot at once in one sitting so you can have juice all week to drink. And if you guys use my tips that you're not going to see on any other channel, I share with you guys how you guys could store your juice for up to a week with minimal nutrient degradation. But you got to use my tips that nobody else share. Links down below to my video on how to store your juices for up to a week. So make sure you check that video out. But yeah, so we're all different, and I get to show you guys everything about the juicer so you fully understand the pros and the cons, and this is not a 15-minute video. And if you guys appreciate my video, I encourage you guys to support me. How can you guys support me? You guys could support me by using the coupon code LESSPULP at namawell.com so that you guys could save 10% off your juicer and get the lowest price on the Nama juicer at this time. You could also use the links down below to buy the Hurom H400 on my affiliate links as well, and I'm going to make a little bit of money as well on that as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any negotiated Hurom coupon codes. Of course, my LESSPULP coupon code will work all around the world on the Nama Well website, so that no matter where you live, you guys are going to save 10% off in your currency on the Nama J2 juicer. So I want to thank you guys who will use my coupon code so I can continue to show the truth about the juicers, the pros and the cons, the ins and the outs, because each one of you guys have a different need, and you might be thinking in your head, John, I really like how the Hurom H400 did that. I really like how it's going to save me a minute or two to clean, despite the less yield, despite having to change things out. And that's up to you guys. I'm telling you guys the honest truth. But of course, if it's up to me, I'm going to declare the winner of this juice off, the Nama J2 juicer. Why? Number one, made 10% more juice. Number two, has a 7.5 times longer warranty. Number three, put less pulp in the juice. Number four, it makes batch juicing in large quantities, which is how I juice, even easier because you can put large pitchers to catch the pulp and the juice without having to babysit it and empty them more often. So what did you guys think? I want you guys to leave your comments and thoughts down below. What you guys thought about this video. Do you have any questions about either of these machines? I try to come back to the video every once in a while and look at the comments and reply and get you guys' questions answered so you guys can make the best juicer purchase for you. I think it's quite sad that other channels online don't go into the depth that I do so that you guys will know the truth, because I want you guys to be fully informed customers, because I believe when you guys are fully informed, you are empowered. So help me continue my mission to empower potential juicers in the future to continue my work by using that coupon code. So I want to thank you guys who stayed to the end of this video and will use my coupon code or my affiliate links down below so I can continue to make these educational videos and share the truth about juicers with you. If you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. More importantly, share this with other people that are considering buying the Hurom H400 or the Nama J2 so that they can get to learn the pros and the cons and the ins and the outs of these two different machines. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes. I have come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up, what new juicers I'll be unboxing, or what new juicers I'll be comparing. And what I'll be telling you guys is that the next video I'll probably be having up is the Nama J2 versus the Kuvings Auto 10. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for that video as well. Make sure you click the little bells to get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. I have over 700 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting all the different major brand juicers so that you guys could choose the right one for you. I'll put links down below also to some of my favorite videos I've made with the NAMA J2, which is the number one that you should watch is the 10 things they don't tell you about the NAMA J2, where I get into all my tips and secrets about the NAMA J2 that you will want to know before you purchase it. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.